Hi, my name is Dr. Roney, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the Cancer Center for Healing. The purpose of this video is to basically prepare you for your day one exam. Right? My objective is to make sure that you know the steps prior to the steps happening. And I think that creates comfort, and I think that creates confidence, and so forth. And we know, just to articulate, we know you're probably with your doctors or your oncologists, they're not necessarily thrilled about you coming here. Maybe some family members are not thrilled. So I know you're putting a lot of trust in us. So we've developed systems to make sure that that trust is understood and that we gain that from you. And a video like this is a big deal. So let me give you an understanding briefly of the 4 pillars. I think that's really, really important before we talk about what's going to happen in day one. So pillar number 1 is testing. What tests are needed in order to determine a couple things? A, how aggressive this thing is or where you are in the cancer stage. And then number 2 with the testing is, well, objectively, is to try to figure out how to personalize your care, right? How to individualize it as much as we can. So there's a test that we send out to Greece called an RGCC test. That test gives us 3 bits of information. It gives us circulating tumor cells, right, which is a very good measurable that we use along the process, determine how well you're doing. Number 2, it'll tell us your chemo agents, right? So conventionally, chemo is just cookie cutter for the most part. You have this cancer, they've done this for 30, 40 years, they're going to use these chemo agents. The RGCC, the benefit of it, it'll tell you what chemo agents your body's going to respond the most favorably to based on your DNA, right? Which to me makes perfect sense. There is no one size fits all. Everybody's cellular environment's different, DNA is different, etc., right? So getting that test and understanding what chemo agents might work best for you, imperative. The other thing it's going to provide, or the other bit of data, it's going to tell us what natural agents your body's going to respond most favorably to. Like your plant-based antioxidants, things like curcumin, resveratrol. It'll test a myriad of those, right? And we'll be able to determine what natural agents, right, without just spending haphazardly spending money, we're going to really start to individualize and personalize the care. When we get that test back, right, we can determine pillar number 2, which is how are we going to attack this cancer? Do you need something aggressive? You know, whether it's low-dose chemo here, we call it insulin potentiated therapy, or do you need to be referred out for conventional chemo or radiation or surgery, right? We don't know. These are all hypotheticals, but I just want you to understand that data that's provided from day 1 testing is going to determine what we do in pillar number 2, right? Now, everybody is recommended pillar 3 and 4. Pillar 3 is how are we going to boost your immune system, right? Mistletoes, vitamin C IVs, supplements, whatever it might be. We need to simultaneously get your immune system working better for you so it can fight the fight, right? I think that makes perfect sense. And pillar number 4 is how are we going to determine what caused this to happen? What happened to your cellular environment that the immune system no longer identified bad cells, right? Something or things had to cause that. That could be your diet, your exposure to toxins. It could be your gut health. It could be your liver not processing and detoxing properly. It could be infections, bacterial, viral, parasitic, mold infections, right? Fungal infections like candida or mold. It could be heavy metals, non-metal toxins. It could be your stress, right? Cortisol can really affect this in a great way. It could be your hormone balance, thyroid, exposure to EMS, not sleeping well. All these different things, gang, have to be determined as well. So when we talk about the 4 pillars, it is over years of experience and research what we feel is going to maximize your health potential, and what we see is not being done, I guess, consistently enough in this world of cancer care. So 4 pillars is the way to maximize your upside, okay? So now with that, when you get in to see the doctor, you have provided a lot of data for them. They are going to have reviewed that when you see them. Their job then is to determine what else needs to get done. So again, in that pillar number 1, they're trying to figure out how to get to pillar number 2, which is how do we attack this thing? What do we need to do? So they're going to recommend testing. That test, the RGCC test that we send to Greece, takes about 3 weeks to come back. So this is what's going to happen. They're going to run those tests, or recommend we run those tests, and then they're going to give you an interim plan. So the day 1 to about week 3 or 4, you're going to have a plan that the doctors are going to recommend. It's going to include things like vitamin C IVs and mistletoes, potentially. It will include detoxification principles. It will include seeing maybe some of the other providers here that are going to help you understand what caused this. But make no mistake, in that interim time that the RGCC comes back, we need to get started, right? Cancer, 10-year process. It's been developing. We don't want to wait. We don't believe in staying idle. So the doctor's going to recommend a plan for you. Then that day that you schedule and do the RGCC, we're going to schedule you for a 3-week follow-up. And the follow-up is then going to allow the doctors to review everything and give you a recommended plan of action from that day forward, okay? That could look many different ways, but hypothetically, say it's a low-dose chemo for 8 weeks. They'll recommend the low-dose chemo for 8 weeks, plus pillar 3 and 4 immune boosting and cleaning up the causes. And then at week 8, you'll have a reevaluation already scheduled, right? And that way, the doctors can reevaluate the measurables to determine what the next step is. The point I'm making is, I want every step of the process to be mapped out for you ahead of time. That way you know where you're going, you know the crossroads, right? It could either we do this or we do that, and you understand it ahead of time. And I think that's vitally important for your ability to have low stress and just heal, because you know we have our I's dotted and T's crossed, okay? Hopefully that made some sense. Moving forward, after day 1, when you get done, you're going to have a patient advocate assigned to you. Somebody's actually going to hold your hand through the entire process of getting scheduled and getting your IVs scheduled and getting supplements if the doctor recommends them, and making sure that you do not have any questions that are creating concern, right? You'll also be scheduled with me probably in the first week, and then my job is also to make sure everybody else is doing their job. So again, we've identified things systematically, or that need to get done for you to feel comfortable being here and for us to give you the best care. Okay? So that's what you can expect on day 1.